Sciatica. So sciatica bothers me, and I want to go over, first of all, whenever I say this is how I fix this, I say that because I want to get your attention. It's not really a 1 + 1 = 2 type of situation with the human body. It rarely ever is. Unless you break a bone, you fix a bone. But the body is very complex. But let's go over kind of like why sciatica is an issue, right? And that way we can understand how we can kind of help it, right? Preface to this, right? I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not a doctor. These are just things that I've learned from other physical therapists, things I've learned with their own self-education over a decade of playing around and noticing things. So one of the things you want to think about is, first of all, what's happening and why is sciatica happening? So if you think about your body and your spine, you have vertebrae and you have a disc. All right. So one of the possible reasons the sciatica is bothering us is because we've commonly heard is a bulging disc. So if you have vertebrae and they're centered in your spine, right, and something happens, an event, or usually multiple events over time, we get to where we have a bulging disc. So what happens is something happens and it squeezes and pushes the disc out, a bulge. Now, bulges can happen in 360 degrees around the vertebrae or vertebrae, okay? And that's commonly why most people and most times we think, well, we go to a chiropractor to help the vertebrae, okay? We can get these better aligned. Maybe this bulge will help start to fix. And that is one part of the solution. But you ever notice how that has to happen over and over and over and over again? And what's happening there is a chiropractor, and this is not trying to talk bad about chiropractors at all, is that they're constantly fixing the structure. So if you think about a bridge, right, there's the cement, there's the steel part of a bridge. Well, you can adjust the bridge over and over and over again. But if you are not attacking the underlying why of the bridges keep falling, or the cables, right? The cables are the muscles, and the frame is the bones. And if you just constantly adjust the bones, you may or may not affect the nervous system or the muscles. So we want to look at how can we affect everything to help decrease why this bulge is happening. And what's happening with that bulge is that bulge pushes out, and this nerve, this cable, right, it pushes into the cable. And that's the pain we're feeling, is that tension on this cable. And generally what we like to do is, as humans, we think, well, if there's pain here, I want to stretch here, because that way I can relieve tension. But as you can tell with this cable, which is a nerve, if you stretch it, I'm pulling, it doesn't increase its length. It's still the same cable. Your nerves work like this cable. They have a little bit of movement, right? They can have some adjustment, but at one point, there's no more left of it, right? There's no more that you can stretch that nerve. And so if we keep attacking the nerve, we keep yanking on it, it's just going to get more and more irritated, okay? Now, what else can happen in sciatica is not just the disc, right? This nerve goes from your spine, right? And it wraps around, it goes down your leg, to the back of your leg. Nerves are all over your body. Muscles are laying around or under or over that nerve. And the muscles can get tight. And the tightness of why a muscle is kind of the egg or the chicken. Like, did one cause the other one, or the one cause this one? Did the bulging disc make me change my patterns to where I now have a tight hip? Or did my tight hip cause the tightness? It doesn't matter. But what's happening is we get those muscles that are real tight, and they start to squeeze on this tension, on this cable, that nerve. And we think massage and trigger points or pushing our thumb into it's going to help, because it can change the reaction of this muscle to loosen on the nerve. Then the nerve has the ability to move, and then we decrease our pain. Now, the body, the how and why of that is extremely complex. But what we want to do is we want to kind of think about, well, what can I do to get this muscle to relax a little bit? And what can I do to get this bulge to maybe go in a different direction or decrease the severity of the bulge, okay? Best thing you can do is go to a highly experienced and educated physical therapist, right? Because they're going to be able to attack this in all the systems, the structural side, the nerve side, the muscle side. They can look at everything that's happening at one time. So if you need a physical therapist, we have a few in our network that are really great about looking at this entire system. A personal trainer, this is not what a personal trainer should be fixing, right? A chiropractor is one side of fixing sciatica. So we highly recommend a physical therapist. And these are things I've learned from physical therapists and from myself. So what can we do to help this nerve relax? Because that's the whole goal, is we want this nerve, that sciatica, to stop freaking out, because that's the tension we feel. I literally feel that tension in my right side right now as we speak. I know for me that I've had several high impact injuries on my right side from Marine Corps and motorcycle wrecks. And what happens for me is if I do too much sitting to where my back is rounded, the bulge or the tightness starts to go out to the right, and then the muscular around my right side, my right piriformis, my QL, everything wants to start to try to like contract and try to hold on, and it wants to, it's trying to protect what's happening around it. So the goal for me to help that tension in this nerve is to alleviate that tightness and allow for movement. So we want to think more on a bigger picture of the entire body, not just I feel tightness here, let me attack here. I want to think, well, if I have tightness here, what around those areas can I do to let my body as a system start to understand that it doesn't have to create that tightness. So this is thinking about the opposite side of tightness, right? What is weak to why there is tightness? Okay, so let's get into like what we can actually do. The normal thing, right? We always think this: tightness here, stretch here. Tightness here, stretch here. We all know that doesn't last, it doesn't work. Tightness here, massage here. 10 minutes later, goes back, because it is a very, it's a temporary Band-Aid to not just the muscles, but the nervous system. And the nervous system is like the nervous system is like the volume control on the radio, right? You can crank up and down the nervous system and how you hear the noise. The nervous system cranks up and down to how your muscles respond. I hope that makes sense there. So the first thing that we can do is we can talk about what movements can I do that don't involve pain but encourage good, happy, healthy movement. So we want to stop thinking about the pain and start thinking about what movement can I do, because movement is medicine, right? Kyle says it all the time. So one thing that work really well is thinking about the body bigger, okay? And lower body rolls are one thing that helps feel really great. And if you think about those hips and the discs, right? And the muscles around your body, everything has kind of this system of overlap. And if I can get good movement left and right, then I can allow those X's to kind of unbind a little bit. And I want to go from multiple sides and multiple directions. Lower body rolls, segmented rolls. So what you'll do is you'll start on your back, right? And I'll put my right leg in the air. It doesn't matter, knee bent, foot, whatever it is, wherever's comfortable for you. We do not want to, if I go straight and straight, I feel that tightness. You know what I'm talking about? That tightness is me cranking on that cable. This isn't a hamstring tightness. That cable that runs from my back through and through here, and even sometimes you can feel your sciatica into your toes. If I crank on that cable, I may get angry.
The goal of movement is to not make our body angry in any movement. Okay? So I'm just going to put my legs wherever I can. My arms are going to be above my head. I'm going to kick, and as you can see, I'm already starting to rotate this hip over the rib. Now this isn't I'm not trying to flex or stretch the body. I'm just trying to remind it of good, happy movement. So I'm just going to go up, the body's going to fall, and I'm going to go back over. I'm going to bend the knee, I'm going to kick up, I'm going to move, I'm going to fall over. This should look and feel kind of like playing around and just rolling. Okay? I'm just reminding the body of nice, easy movement. Okay? I'm flexing those muscles a little bit just to get myself going, but I'm not cranking and I'm not stretching. Okay? Excuse the shirt, the Winnie the Pooh effect. All right? So I'm just going to literally roll around for a few minutes. And I'm not going to go into pain. If I'm ever going in any direction that feels like pain, I'm going to shorten the motion or not go as far, or shorten my leg so that I don't feel any pain. The whole goal is to get out of pain. So we don't want to move into pain. Right? Another thing, isometrics. So isometrics are flexing the body, so flexing a muscle, without movement. And one of the things about sciatica, and for me personally, is that those muscles start to get tight. Instead of thinking about stretching this muscle, if you look at the motion I'm going into, right, stretching, I want to flex into the same positions. So if I am stretching here, I want to flex here. What's happening is, if you think about your body as a yin and a yang, right? A push and a pull, the good guy, bad guy kind of part of like a storyline. If I just think stretch, 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 I'm trying to physically make the tissue open and close on stretching. But if I can tell the opposite side of my body to flex, then my nervous system, my brain, my controller will start to relax the nervous system. Okay, so this is thinking about flexing into a stretch to make the system happier. And if these muscles can be happy and cooperating and working more, these muscles will know I don't have to work so hard. You have a team of players. You have one person working really, really hard all the time. He gets super fatigued. If you have a team working all at the same rate, that one person doesn't get as tired. Muscles, right? So a few isometrics you can do. If you're in a chair position, if I think I'm going to stretch here, to get this to go loose, I'm actually going to flex. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to push into my abs. So I'm rotating and I'm pushing, and I'm going to relax. And I'm rotating, I'm pushing, and I'm going to relax. Nice and easy. You don't need anything. You just need to push and flex. But I'm not going into pain. I don't know how many times I need to say that. You want to resist going into pain. Do like 5 sets at 5 seconds, just flexing. Okay? And you think about my rotation here, I want to try to get, if this is my tight spot, I'm going to flex into. So if these muscles on the right side of my body are tight, let's let these help out. So if I have a corner of a wall, I'm just going to rotate into the wall, so my shoulder kind of touches it, and then I'm going to flex. I'm pushing this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm flexing this side of my body. Okay? 5 sets of 5. So we have a flex, we have lower body rolls. We're going to go into another isometric that helps a lot. You know that pain that goes, that tight muscle that goes right across your hip? This is really popular in a lot of runners. A lot of people do a lot of squatting. This little muscle gets really, really angry because this doesn't have a lot of capability to handle load, and we make it do so much. Why? That's another entire video. But instead of thinking of that piriformis stretch that we see all the time, stretch, let's think about that same system of how can I get the muscles on the opposite side to help out so this guy doesn't have to do all the work. So this is all about anti-stretching, anti-foam rolling, anti-digging around the tissue, right? We're trying to get away from all that stuff to let our body be happy, because happy body is a pain-free body. This isometric, if we think about stretching here, we look at where my body is, my knees bent, and it's over. I'm just going to take this position, I'm going to maintain it, and I'm on my back. Okay, but you see where the knee is? I got my Prevail Posture 9000. It's on my hip. It's in line with my knee, right? And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that ankle, this is that rotation, and I'm going to bring it towards my left shoulder, right? I'm not letting the knee go out or towards me. And now, I'm going to use my hand, and if you can get a top-down view, and I'm just pushing my leg into my hand, right? So my hand's not doing anything. So if I just have this Posture 9000, I'm trying to break the pole over. I'm trying to bring it towards me. 1. You should feel a tension inside. 3, 4, 5. I'm going to rotate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to do that for 5 sets. So you have this rotation, right? I'm flexing the inside muscles until the outside muscles know they don't have to be so tight. So you have lower body rolls, back and forth. We have some ab isometrics away from the tension, getting the other side of the back to help out this left side muscle squeezing over here, right? And then we have that isometric on the inside. So that's just a few of the things that I would do. There's some more things on top of that with some more detailed like equipment. That's stuff that I've learned specifically for my body that work well, along with hanging. So a lot of hanging from bars just help decompress the body. But the thing I try to avoid is stretching. I try to avoid the lacrosse balls, and I try to avoid any kind of aggressive actual tissue like manipulation, because I'm not a certified massage therapist, and I don't know how tissue's going to react, and you don't know how tissue's going to react. So maybe digging a lacrosse ball into our hip isn't the best thing for our body. But these low intensity isometrics are extremely safe, and anyone can do them anywhere, right? And it's all about making other muscles help out the other muscles. Okay? So that's where I would start. If you need any help, actually, like, I don't understand what that is, like how do you do that movement, or how do you do this movement, reach out to us. We'd love to get on a call with you, and we can walk you through it. If you need a reference for a physical therapist who can help you with this, we have several in the city that I'm sure would love to get on a call with you and help you figure out a better analysis of why your disc is bulging or why your sciatica is happening, because it could be multiple things, and it's not just one problem, one solution, right? The human body is extremely complex, and so we have to kind of look at it as a whole bunch of parts of a system. Each part has its own work, but every piece, this is getting a little deep, every piece affects the other piece, right? So I hope this helps. Do those 4 things. It takes just a few minutes. And I guarantee you, if you do those 4 things, right, you're going to feel somewhat better. It may not be 100%, but you're going to decrease that tension in that sciatica and that hip. Oh, I forgot. One more thing. Nerve flossing. I almost forgot nerve flossing. Nerve flossing. Let's say I'm in my seated position. Okay, and we talked about that straightening of the leg and that stretch on what we think is the hamstring. We talked about our cable. So if this cable is this long all the time, right? Now, if part of my disc or my musculature or whatever is hanging on to this cable, and I go to stretch the cable and it won't go anywhere, right? It's got a little bit of lax inside of a sheath. So there's a band, there's like a cable inside of a sheath, and this is where that nerve slides in that sheath. And it slides through your body. So we can just take a little bit of tiny movement to remind it from end range to cycle. And my buddy over at ARC, Sean Smith, taught me about kissing in range. So when you kiss in range, you go out, I feel tightness and I come back. I feel tightness and I come back. I feel tightness and I come back. That's it. All I'm doing is I'm just barely feeling that tightness. I'm coming back. This is an exercise that may take 20, 25, 30 reps. And all you're doing is I feel that tightness, I come back. Now, slowly, see how the range of motion is increasing, but I haven't cranked on it. Now, if I want to make it harder, I draw the toe in. That increases the length of that nerve. Oh, now it's getting tighter there. So I'm going to keep cycling. You can even test this with your head. You can change how that tightness feels, and you can cycle that nerve from the base of your skull to your toe. That's how the nervous system works, right? It's really crazy. And I'm just cycling. I'm never cranking on that tightness. Okay? And as you can see, look, now my toe is completely flexed. My knee is straight. I couldn't do that 20 reps ago, but I didn't crank on it. If you crank on it, this cable senses that. Your body senses it. It's amazing. And it goes and it holds onto it. It protects it. It won't let it move. So resist cranking on that tightness. Okay? It's not a muscle tightness. This cable is not getting magically longer. It's not stretching. Technically, no other muscles, like they don't lengthen. They're only one size all the time. Yeah. We'll get into another video about it one day. All right. So there's your things. Lower body rolls, isometrics into the wall, isometrics into your abs, cycling, and the internal rotation isometrics. 5 sets of 5, 10 rolls, 30 reps. Again, I'm not a physical therapist. These are just things that work well for me. If they work well for you, let me know. If you need help from a professional, let me know.